Shit, it's the ones,
Yeah, hey, it be like, Dave, what changed? It's more like what hasn't, don't nothing stay the same. It's about the wave, making use of every day. My brain gon' always make a way, and that's gon' fade. If it's a demon, we gon' fade him. On my natal, I'm a billionaire, verbatim. Natural player, God's favorite. Had them crystals in my cradle. I was charged and they been starving. I'm an artist, if we modest. If we not, I'm an actual star. They acting hard, but they really not. Can't stand to watch. Up and all my blasters, it got hot. I cannot stop until the impossible has caught. It meant a lot to me when I could finally see the sun inside of me. That shine, my light could break a blind. How I use my mind, even Stevie could see between the lines. Yeah, ayy. My light, my light, my light, my light. Yeah, my light, my light, my light, my light. In the sunshine. Yeah, ayy, okay, sunshine living. Niggas still tripping, no, they do not want no static. Using magic, been a habit. Can't imagine me letting life go to waste. To the face, another blunt to start the day. A cup of tea to get me straight. I don't care how long it take. Always found I was out of place until I made a space for me. That's a lesson I won't repeat. This marathon ain't for the weak. Move your feet or get left up in the street. I speak, so instead of hold, I manifest my peace. Yeah, ayy, my light, my light, my light, my light. Yeah, my light, my light, my light, my light. In the sunshine.
What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B, watching DaveBeyondTV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And you know what I'm saying, we're talking about the moon in Leo, sun in Cancer. So, you know, the song itself kind of explains that, you know, my light, my light, my light, my light in the sunshine. So expressing things, you know, expressing what's on our heart is really the main theme of the current moment in time. You know, this is a very powerful energy. But you got to understand two things is somewhat in reverse. So what we have on the outside is the emotional aspect where the moon is. So our vulnerability is actually showing. That's what we're acting on. You know what I'm saying? That's where the sun is at, Cancer. So right now our vulnerability is what's being expressed, and it's our ego or expression and who we are and sense of kind of more so protection that's on our heart space. So right now, being that things are reversed, it can kind of play out that way where there's extreme expressions of what we feel on a sensitive end. But you know, we have to balance it out still. We have to understand that what's showing right now is like basically heart on your sleeve energy. And so, you know, we all have to be aware of what it is that we're expressing in the first place and making sure that it's coming from a real place and not a place of insecurity or not a place of and even if it is coming from insecurity, one thing about it is like, some things need to be said, you know what I'm saying? Even though like sometimes it, you know, at this point in time, how we always talk about vulnerability being your real strength, you know, this point in time is like we all kind of being faced with a lot of emotional, almost like emotional, I don't want to say hardships, but it's like being anytime we in Cancer season, it's an extreme emotional time, and it's a time where we're going through a lot of insecure feelings, and we're trying to figure out what it is that we, you know, what's bothering us. Because it's almost like I look at it like, I ain't gonna lie, this Cancer season is somewhat intense, you know, and it makes sense because of, you know, everything that's going on in terms of planetary shifts. We dealing with outer planets going into new signs or getting prepared to go into new signs. We got a lot of retrogrades as far as Saturn itself, which is trining this energy. So again, responsibilities are on the mind, and the nature of Saturn is the uncomfortability of life and responsibility and things that don't cater to how you feel really. And as you realize at a certain point, you have to bypass how you feel a lot of times in order to get anything done. You know, it's a lot of times our feelings that keep us from actually achieving things in our life, because when feelings get involved, again, like a feeling, You can let a feeling push you into a space of not wanting to do the things that need to get done, like your responsibilities. You can let a feeling keep you from showing yourself or showing up at the right place at the right time. You can let a feeling take you off the deep end and start to accuse other individuals of doing things that, again, in your world is very real, but in reality itself is not actually going on. So, you know, now all of a sudden all these different energies are going, you know, going in different directions and making it very difficult for you to get your point across. Shout out to Stephanie. Yep. Appreciate the concern. So, you know, that's the main thing going on. There's a lot of you know, so it's a lot of sensitive energies, like I was saying before, with the new moon. So we just coming off the new moon, so y'all know this is the time where we have to put an extra effort into making sure that we create the thoughts and feelings that we want to experience as real events in our life. So it's always going to be at this point where you're going to be faced with the most difficult situations, basically to test your ability to manage your own vibrations and express the things that's actually real versus expressing the things that are first nature to express based upon kind of panic mode, survival mode, or whatever mode you in that has you more reactive to what's going on, rather than being proactive, rather than being like, oh no, this is what I want to see for myself, so this is what I'm going to create. I'm going to produce thoughts and feelings that's looking like what I want to be in, versus allowing what I'm already in to determine how I feel. So now I'm trapped behind my desire. I'm trapped behind what I really want. And you know, again, this can start to become discouraging. And before you know it, we approaching a full moon and you haven't actually put in the right amount of work towards creating the reality you want to be in, versus doing what the majority of the world does, which is sit in whatever vibration you in and allow that to tear you down and allow you to become basically a prisoner of your own mind. That's how you get trapped in your own mind. It's like you allow your mind to solidify itself. And so again, and when I say your mind, I mean you're looking at things going on, you know, going on around you, and you're like, it's not looking like how you want it. Because in your imagination, again, we have the freedom to create what we want. But if what you're seeing is the everyday struggle of having to get up and do a bunch of things that you might not want to do, and deal with the difficult feelings, the uncomfortability, and the work it actually takes to get where you want to go. If you allow your feelings to keep you from doing that work, you won't ever get to a place where you want to be at. So that's kind of the perpetual cycle that feelings can thrust you in, that the wrong perception can keep you in. And again, moon cycles, the moon is the portal. So whenever we're dealing with different moon cycles, we have to know, okay, let me use these vibrations, let me jump into these energies so that I can start to use the magic. You know what I'm saying? If you don't take advantage of where the moon is at and stuff, and again, people, like I always say, it's just a tool. So people are successful without knowing where the moon is or without fucking with astrology. Astrology is not everything, but for what it's worth, you're aware of what's going on, and you're then able to kind of use more. Like, it's almost like you know more, you're able to do more. You know what I'm saying? You know better, you could do better. So talking about Leo energy in general, again, a Leo energy is making us all expressive, and what we're expressing is our feelings. So again, that can go in your favor, because see, the thing is, we need to express our feelings. We need to let others around us know how we feel, and making sure that it's clear, because without that communication, without that expression, a lot of who we are gets lost in the mix. And if people don't know who we are and where we stand, then not only do more situations of miscommunication or situations that end up out of your favor occur, but we also get we find ourselves in places where we're not around the right people. You know, saying you have to express yourself. Because like when we talk about the ego and the ego's purpose, we have to shine that light. Because if we don't ever shine that light, again, you might be thinking that you're a saving face, or you might be thinking you're doing it for the sake of other people's ego. But, you know, you deserve to be happy too. And if you don't express what's on your heart, you won't actually attract the things that you want in your life, in your space. You're always going to be subjected to what everything else is going on. And that's kind of how you lose individuality. That's how you lose yourself in the mix. You know, in order to create an environment that works for you, you have to be willing to express that, whether you're scared to do it or not. And again, this is where the Cancer energy can kind of interfere with the ability of Leo to get his point across. Again, like I said before, being that The moon aspect is where the sun is at, and the sun aspect is where the moon is at. If y'all understand what I'm saying, the sun being in Cancer, the moon being in Leo, because it's reversed, again, the expression and the willingness to do that, right, can be overshadowed by whatever intense feelings you're dealing with. Now, Cancer being that it's more internal, you might shy away from this open opportunity to speak up, right, and be seen for how you feel, so that you can be responded to in a way that on the Leo end feels respected. Now, you know what I'm saying? Because that's the thing about Leo, especially on Leo moon. It's all about you know, the key words: respect, appreciation, to be seen, attention. You know what I'm saying? Now, again, everybody on an emotional level, you might not be everybody want to be seen for how they feel right now. Now, if your feelings is rooted in truth, let's say you've done the shadow work and you've spent time understanding your own feelings, you have a better chance to be able to express yourself in an effective way that doesn't just look like you you know, being I don't want to say being dramatic, and I don't want to say like bitching and complaining, but the way you go about expressing yourself, depending on the work that you've done with yourself, it'll play out on whether or not it's justified, or is it like, no, this person is expressing themselves in a way that they're trying to hide how they truly feel. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, and again, when that happens, that's one of those things, like how somebody will bring up a problem, but it's like for instance, you could be arguing with a spouse about the dishes, but you can tell that based upon the argument and how deep it is, it's actually not about the dishes. But again, it takes a certain level of vulnerability to be able to get to the root of what it is the problem is and bring it to the surface. And see, right now, that's going to be the main area of contention, whether or not you're able to do that. And if you're not willing to even have the argument, or even have the discussion, or even express it, or bring it to the forefront, shed light on it, how you really feel, then you won't get met with the right energies to help you feel seen, help you feel appreciated, help you feel because that's really what the Leo moon is kind of you know, needing at the moment. Shout out to Tunnel Vision, man. Yeah, so it's like that's what the Leo moon is needing at the moment. Remember, where the moon is at is what we essentially need. And what it is like, when we talk about what a need is, a lot of times, like when we understand need in terms of the moon, is where we have to protect ourselves. It's where we have to, you know, what we have to do, or what we have to fulfill. It's the space in which we're trying to fulfill. So you can look in your own chart and you can see where Leo is. This is the space that currently needs to be fulfilled, but also taken care of. And to take care of it, it's like, say you got a moon, a Leo in the first house. You have to take care of your personal space at the moment. So that's what is basically demanding attention, nurturing, and to be fulfilled. So you have to understand wherever the sun is at is what you need to do in order to get that space fulfilled, or or the way you go about it. So the way we got to go about it is being willing to express those feelings, have those vulnerable conversations, or at least recognize the emotional currents that's going on, have enough emotional intelligence to decipher, oh, this is actually the shit always happens, bro. It's just too damn hot. I know this shit probably loud, but I just gotta let my phone cool off a little bit. Let's see if I can set it up like this. Get the homeboy right there. So that's kind of like the source of what's going on at the moment. Let's see if I can turn it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That the root of it is, and see, again, like I said, like all these different transits do is just give you opportunities. Because again, chances are, if you don't have these alignments, right, this is the time in which you get to exercise what these energies represent. And you might discover that by tapping into these energies at the current moment, you can add a layer to your artillery. You can help make progress in a certain area of your life you didn't realize needed attention. You didn't realize that you wasn't actually expressing how you feel. You wasn't even aware of how you feel. And this right here is a perfect energy to really shed light on the truth of your feelings, and to give you the open runway to say, hey, no, it's time to now express these things, no matter how deep, embarrassing, vulnerable it might be. But the whole thing is, this could be an extreme energy. This can be a volatile energy. But, you know, if you're if you're clear on what it is that you're actually feeling, and even if you're not clear, but you're willing to still have that conversation and express it, you're much better off. You'll at least let the people in your life know where you stand on things, and you can be able to start to see more clarity when it comes to how you feel. It's just right now is a very sensitive time. These are two very sensitive energies, Leo and Cancer, very sensitive energies. These are energies essentially you got to think don't really have, every other sign has a day side, night side, except for these two. And the reason is because their responsibility, it's almost like being that the moon is the sun's reflection. They're almost one and the same. But, you got to think about it. And this is like even apparent in roles we see within the household, right? Where a lot of the problems that arise is one, let's say it's a two-parent household, right? One parent often feels like a lot of the weight and responsibility falls on them when it comes to taking care of what they got to take care of, and vice versa. A lot of arguments start because it's like, well, who's doing what? And I'm doing more than you. You know what I'm saying? Again, the man goes out, goes to work. He feels like he's doing a whole lot. The woman is at home taking care of the whole household, taking care of what's going on there. She thinks she's doing a lot. And the truth is they both doing a lot. But if they if they don't find ways to appreciate each other to create balance there, then it's always going to be somewhat of a tit for tat. So think about this in terms energetically within you. When we're dealing with these types of energies, it feels like the weight of all when you're going through the sun and Cancer, it feels like the weight of emotional responsibility is all on you. And then when you're, again, the moon in the moon in Leo, it feels like the weight to express everything is on that one energy. And sometimes it can get kind of confusing as far as to, it's like an intense energy and a sensitive on both ends. You know what I'm saying? The moon feeling like, well, it wants to be seen. And then the sun itself feeling like, damn, the burden of having to do all the work, the burden of having to get up and express itself in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Again, all Cancer wants to do is be comfortable. But we live in a world that, again, there is no to be comfortable in this world is to be stagnant and to see yourself basically falling behind. It's almost like an underlying guilty energy that you start to feel by being too comfortable in this world, and your spirit automatically thrusts you into uncomfortable situations, and we constantly have to face these different things to expand. It's kind of ironic because Jupiter being exalted in Cancer, expansion being one of the most uncomfortable things to go through, but that's the whole reason why it's in Cancer, a cardinal water, because we have to learn how to make comfort cardinal, aka approach different situations as not expecting it to already be comfortable, but to trust ourselves and have enough confidence to know that we can make it comfortable based upon our own emotional security. So all of this season is about gaining some level of emotional security. Again, the new moon, the allegory of the flood, Noah's Ark, and things like that is to develop emotional security. If you think about what the flood did in the Bible, it was to clear out everything that was there previously, and what was only taken was the things of, again, one of each animal, but these are like animalistic natures. You could look at them as one of this, one of that. And then on the boat itself was the masculine and feminine running the whole show. So it's like your masculine side, your feminine side, your thoughts and your feelings, and then the many animalistic things that came with it that you chose to bring with you in order to, again, after everything is cleared, now we have new life. A vessel was able to be taken and given new life to that new starting point. So the summer plays out as a flood to everything that we had to go through in the springtime, but we have to use what we valued in the springtime and put on that boat to now create a new civilization, in a sense, internally. So we have to, again, the new moon gave us all the opportunity to now plant these new seeds and start to, conduct that new civilization, in a sense. Shout out to Joel. Shout out HB Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Happy birthday, Jackson. Hey, what's up? But yeah, so that's basically the essence of like what we're dealing with at the moment. It's like, we're fresh on these new feelings, but again, everything I was kind of talking about the new moon, the biggest thing is, are you going to victimize yourself and fall into the same patterns as previously? Or are you going to actually choose to do something different this time? Because again, the choice is yours. And when we in cardinal energies, it's all about decisions that you make. And with Saturn and Pisces retrograde, a lot of what we're being presented with, again, past frustrations, everything in the world almost feels like it's being it's popping back up in order to make you, to throw you off in a sense. It starts to feel like that. Like, damn, it seemed like no matter where I turn, I'm somewhat getting hit with some form of restriction that is due to something I was already previously doing. You know what I'm saying? Or something I previously didn't take care of, something I previously wasn't taking as serious. And right now, it's like, are you gonna take it? We're either taking our escapism very serious, or we're taking our dream that we're developing very serious. And both of them require us to deal with the uncomfortable truth, uncomfortable reality of what we already dealing with. You know what I'm saying? What we already in, those day-to-day processes that you got to go through, what you might feel is already being a stressor on you. But now it's like, no, we have to kick it up a notch and basically initiate a feeling of being more comfortable with accepting the responsibilities of what we got to go through at the moment. So you could already see how, damn, during this very sensitive time, I also have a lot on my plate. And so it becomes a, you know, basically a character defining moment. And when we talk about Leo energy, again, we know that's character. So we all have, again, the choice. The choice is yours, whether to allow what's being confronted at you that might be making you start to feel a little bit more claustrophobic, or make you feel like, damn, I'm climbing this mountain. What's the point? You know what I'm saying? We have to really derive that meaning and reasoning. And a lot of that, like I said before, is coming from exactly, Joy said, you know, are you going this way or that way? It's like we have to reinforce what we want to feel with actual action towards that thing. You know what I'm saying? You have to reinforce that. And like she said, you can't do both. You can't choose both ways. You have to, when you choose one way, the consequence of it is the sacrifice of letting that other way go. So if you want to move forward in your life, it's like, okay, well, you're going to have to suck it up. You're going to have to look around and be like, yo, fuck, I did this. So no matter how uncomfortable it is, that's what Cancer is here for. That's what Cancer needs you to do. Develop the emotional fortitude to be like, yo, okay, well, I'm going to make this new way comfortable. Because either way, you're going to be uncomfortable. And that's the kind of hidden thing. You can choose to revert back to what you're familiar with, thinking that it's going to be more comfortable. What you're going to start to feel is that the walls folding in on you, basically. You know, where it's almost like if you were a kid, right? And you didn't want to, you know what I'm saying? You're a kid, you outgrowing your baby bed. You got to get a bigger bed. But you like, nah, I'm scared to get in the bigger bed. You know what I'm saying? So you force yourself into that little bed, but you're going to start to experience extreme discomfort because you're literally too big. You've outgrown that space. So we have to understand our past is that same way, in a sense, where it's like, yeah, we're making choices to get better again. But if that's too scary for you and you say, well, I'm just going to keep comfortable, I'm just going to reject that and revert back to what I'm used to, thinking it's going to be comfortable, you're going to find yourself outgrowing that. The walls close in. Now you feel claustrophobic. But again, as it plays out physically, it's going to be things that you're not even going to be able to really enjoy. You're not going to have the space and the reach. You're going to see everybody else doing things that you at one point wanted to do, but you sacrificed. Again, when you pick one way, you sacrifice the other. So you sacrifice you actually getting better at whatever it is that you was uncomfortable with at the first time. You sacrifice that, and you have to now deal with it feeling like everybody's passing you up in life and you still in the same place. He said, mermaids are dream walkers. I bet you are one too, Dave. Yeah, right. Mermaid shit. Shout out to Say Uno too, because that's his cover art. Music. He just dropped a new album. Y'all should check that out, along with the Equinox tape. You know what I'm saying? Equinox 3. So when it comes to those types of things, you know, and this is like kind of what we're talking about too, that whole mermaid type energy, where we have to know how to navigate our own internal subconscious, because there's so many things right now that are very subtle being presented as almost like traps. And these traps are like, again, anything that is just too comfortable to, like, almost feels, it's like so comfortable I don't want to pass it up. Because when it comes to a lot of times like us in life and making decisions, a lot of people make decisions based upon like I said, like what they can predict to get something out of. So again, that's why people choose the same patterns. That's why people, shout out to Matt Dank, you know what I'm saying? What's good, bro? You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to, he said, shout out to Uno, who's not a saint. When it comes to making decisions, a lot of people make decisions based upon what they can predict the outcome of, because everybody wants to that's the whole human side of things. Everybody wants to make a decision that they it's almost like, oh, if knowing what I can predict tomorrow, if I could choose something that I can predict the outcome, for some reason humans think that it's a better choice than to take a chance and risk on something that they can't quite predict. And a lot of that comes from a lack of confidence and a lack of trust in oneself. Because if you trust yourself, right, if you set an intention and you strive for it, it don't matter where you land. You trust yourself to be able to manage whatever that new experience is. So younger spirits would be, it will kind of run away from that energy. Younger spirits would be like subconsciously not really trusting themselves. So they're going to pick what they can predict. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be the first thing on their mind. And right now, picking what you predict is really you just making a bunch of excuses to not change and not to expand. Now, speaking of change and expansion, Mars is it's like basically right on top of Uranus. So we're having the when we're dealing with a conjunction is kind of like a power up. And that power, again, how they say great power or great responsibility, that power can either be to your benefit or your detriment based upon your perspective on it. If you allow it to go too far in one direction, you become imbalanced and you go to the extreme, and you can also easily get exhausted in that energy, or you can find yourself not doing enough because you feel like it's already on point, so you underestimate what's necessary as far as effort with that energy. So with Mars and Taurus next to conjuncting Uranus and Taurus, extreme frustration is a potential for extreme frustration when it comes to our passion towards change. Either the change itself is creating extreme discomfort and frustration, or that's what's required in order to kind of get to the next level. You know what I'm saying? So you have to determine right now, okay, the ways in which I'm choosing to change. Really pay attention to what's causing frustration in your life and understand the root cause of it, so that you can apply the right pressure to that point in order to create that change. You know what I'm saying? If you're not putting pressure in the right areas, you might be missing the point. You're just shooting that frustration at other people. You're making that frustration, any feeling and emotion that we get in can become staggering, where we don't, because it's too intense, we don't actually you know what I'm saying, it becomes too we become too hyper focused on the problem rather than trying to actually get to a solution, if that makes sense. It's like too much concentrated energy. So with Mars and Uranus, these are both very intense energies if you don't direct them in the right way. Or actually, no, they're intense regardless, but they can be beneficial or negative based upon where you direct them. So direct that frustration towards actually making the change, not just being frustrated with yourself and others because you don't want to change yet, because you want to be stubborn. So again, remember, Taurus is the queen of stubborn versus consistency. So at that point, when it comes to your passions and your frustrations, you're either playing out that stubborn energy or you're consistent when it comes to change, rebellion. Are you rebelling against things that actually need to be rebelled against, like bad habits, bad choices, bad mentalities? Or are you frustrated because you don't yet want to let go of those bad habits in X, Y, and Z that I just said? This is one of the most important times to be real with yourself. And like I was saying before, with Sun in Cancer, Moon in Leo, that's also what that represents. It's being real with how you feel and letting that kind of, it's like hard on your sleeve, but you got to see your heart first. Leo Moon, you got to see what you feel and be able to see it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say understand it, but you need to see it before you make it a burden on someone else. Because that's the thing with Cancer energy. Cancer wants to throw a feeling at you. But Cancer's problem on a lower octave is, Cancer's biggest issue on a lower octave is they want to throw the feeling around, but they haven't sat with the feeling to understand what it even means to them. Because not everything that you feel is meant to be put on others. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's kind of like even Cancer being next to Leo in the reflection of Leo, making everything about itself, being extremely self-centered in its own way, but on an emotional end. And then when it comes to Leos, being extremely insensitive because of being self-centered. So they're insensitive and they just want their point seen. They just only see what they want to see. Everything is about them, but on the external. So they gonna let you, they do the same thing as Cancers in a way, but they do it in somewhat of a more appropriate way, because when you're expressing yourself, that's what we're supposed to be doing down here, right? But when you got the Cancer energy there, it's almost like you're making others responsible to uphold the feeling behind how you see yourself, which can start to become extremely manipulative, and it can start to rub others the wrong way, especially if you still, again, especially if these things are rooted in insecurity. You want somebody to uphold an image of you based upon your insecurity. You know what I'm saying? That don't translate well. And that's how you get a lot of those kind of negative, you know what I'm saying? That's how you get toxic energy. Because you start to make others responsible for a space that you're supposed to be responsible for and nobody else. You know what I'm saying? You responsible for conducting your feelings. You responsible for taking care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Others in your life aren't necessarily responsible for upholding your emotional state. And that's one of the hardest things for people to realize, because, you know, especially with these type of energies, because we start, you know, these are energies, like I said, become so into its own sensitivity, they disregard others, and they think that it's others' responsibility to make them feel better in certain areas, when that's not really the case. That starts to make a person toxic. And then when people pick up on that energy, like every time you come around, you be trying to do that, again, now they don't want to be around you. And it's not because you know, the only issue is that you're not taking the responsibility to conduct your own feelings first before you express yourself, so that what you're expressing is not just throwing a feeling on somebody else. Instead, you're throwing your actual, what you're expressing. Like, the difference between throwing a feeling and actually expressing yourself is you've taken the time to actually see and recognize what it is that you're expressing. So you're expressing it with somewhat of an intention. You're expressing it with somewhat of a you know, I was gonna say a light. And it's like that light itself is like information. It's like you've taken the time to decipher what that feeling is. So now when you express it, it's uniquely you. It's coming from you, versus you just reacting. So you give people the reaction. That's more so you're reflecting. That can start to turn into projection when you just in a feeling and you throw the feeling out. That's like the difference between expressing yourself and projecting onto somebody else. And it's really like as clear as sun and moon, night and day. You know, the day side is you're clear on it. You see what it is. So now it's an expression. I feel like this. This is my view on how I feel. So now I can say, okay, this is that expression coming from the heart. Versus an individual who's projecting, okay, somebody threw something at me, I'm gonna reflect that. And without the actual reflecting with yourself to understand what it is, you're just throwing it out there with whatever, you know, feeling you feel, but it's not actually coming from your individual perspective. It's just being projected. It's just bouncing back onto something else. You know what I'm saying? And so that can be, that's when you start to get into that toxic space where it's like, okay, well, what is actually this coming from? You know, and this is what's going on, like, to all of us. Like, this is you sitting with yourself, having a hard time maybe dealing and managing on what to express versus what not to. And again, stagnating energies, making it difficult for you to get up and do what you need to do. And then also, if we understand like where the sun itself is at 17 degrees. So at 17 degrees, you know, it's an energy where we're starting to get into those outer planets, right? So we're starting to turn into Plutonian type energies, where we now have to transform this as we move into the third decan of Cancer. So the third decan of Cancer, right? To understand deacons, they're just like basically a modification of the energy. So the first decan of Cancer is Cancer itself. The second decan is Scorpio, because you go up the next sign in that element. The last one is Scorpio. The last one is Pisces. So the third decan, that's where we're moving into a more Piscean type Cancer energy, a more Jupiterian one, which could be, again, delusional, or it could be extremely creative. And it's an energy about more so expanding, being willing to expand the feeling. So if you think about where we started with Cancer season, we had to create the comfort. In Scorpio, we had to fight to feel comfortable. Now we have to, whatever we fought to get into as far as a space, we have to now expand that comfort. We have to let that comfort be fulfilling. You know what I'm saying? We have to fulfill that space with what we want to fulfill it with. And we have to do it in somewhat of a wise way, or a way that's open to experience and gain wisdom. So we have to be willing to kind of sit with that feeling for a little bit longer than just trying to get it off. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, that Leo energy makes you want to just express it. So again, sometimes that's necessary, because that's how a lot of heart-to-hearts be had, by just expressing that feeling, getting it out, because that's the most important part, that you get the feeling out. But this energy in particular is like, be a little more mindful or reflective on what it is that you just kicking, because there might be information in that you need to sit with a little bit longer in order to get a much more clearer understanding of first what you're going through, so that you don't have to just project it. You can actually express yourself in somewhat of a, I don't want to say reasonable way, but a way that is that's able to be received well from others. Which again, I get sometimes, like, we be in that bag, be like, man, we don't care, I don't give a fuck what people think. But it's not so much about giving a fuck about what people think. If you care about yourself, you should care about your expressions being or your messages being relayed and expressed in the most clearest way possible, or in a way that is going to at least the point of it is received. It's almost like, if you have a message, and when I say message, that's really just a metaphor for saying, your internal, your mentality, and you getting your points across, how you see things, how you feel, what you think about things, all those combined in just your message as a spirit, right? If you care about yourself, you care about that message relating. You care about that message being also constructed with truth, right? You want your truth to be shown. You don't want it's almost like, if you was to have a point, you didn't put all the points together, so you just kind of rambling, you just kind of talking. There's no real point behind what you're saying, but you want to be understood. You're not going to get understood that way. You're not going to be understood until you take those ramblings and you start to give it some structure. You start to put sentences together that actually are accurate to how you feel and what you want to say. The issue is that most of the world, though, based upon just things that we've been through, trauma, things that we don't want to face, we don't take the time to construct messages that are clear as far and close to what we actually want to say, what we want, what we need, what we're trying to communicate. We construct messages that's kind of like roundabouts ways of saying what we really want to say. We add a bunch of filler. We add a bunch of shit that, again, takes us further and further away from our truth. So when we go to express ourselves and communicate, we are like, why are we not being understood? And it's like, you're not being understood because you're not really telling the truth. You're saying one thing, but you haven't condensed it to actually get into the point and root of what you mean, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm speaking in a way that's like more cryptic, and I'm trying not to be cryptic. I'm really trying to actually get to the, but this is all internal processes that really don't have words to them. And I'm trying to do the best I can to at least give you an image or ideas to see what's going on within you. But that be the issue. This is a really good time for a deep self-reflection, and then also the opportunity to follow it up with expressing things that now it feels like I'm expressing what's really on my heart. And then that's allowing things around you to see you for what it is, see you for your truth. You know, see your heart. And the better you get at this, because this is like I said, this is like a high vulnerability energy, which could be, again, very beneficial to you, because you know, most of the time we walk around with the ego first. So when you walk around with the ego first, how you really feel sometimes gets shrouded and hidden behind what you're trying to show and be seen for. But since it's reversed now, you know, it's not so much about it's about being seen for what you really feel. So being willing to express that is a power in and of itself. But again, if you're too scared to do that, if you're still clinging on to old ways of old patterns of kind of moving, then you might not be so ready to express everything about how you feel. So you might do this in your own private space. You might do this behind closed doors, or wherever you feel comfortable at. And again, that's like you run into that comfort zone, when no, you need to let it be seen and known this is where you really stand on something. Now Mars is squaring this energy, you know, where the moon is at. So again, it's Mars is adding value. That's what Mars is really supposed to be doing. When it comes to your passion, on a certain level, you got to be adding value to your passion, being patient and consistent with what you're passionately into. Now, right now, it's on top of Uranus. So again, you're being challenged to really put value into change and making sure you're staying consistent with that change, right? Squaring the moon, you're going to feel uncomfortable with that, because again, how we feel, we want to be seen and we want to put things on center stage. But you can start to be frustrated because of Mars, and the work it still feels like you have to put in, and the changes that you still have to implement. It still feel like, damn, I'm still so far away from that goal. But you got to accept the fact that, hey, you did make progress. Hopefully, like, if you can look at yourself and say you made progress, that's going to look like you was consistent enough with something to develop that skill further. You know what I'm saying? How they say certain things in life, you'll start to realize it's not so much that you're incapable of doing something, it's just a skill gap. So you have to get better at doing it. You know what I'm saying? But a skill gap is always way more better than an actual opportunity not being available. So it's like, appreciate that for what it is. It's a skill gap. I got to take a little more time invested into what I'm trying to achieve to get it, but I still am able to get it. But sometimes, again, understanding and seeing all that work that we got to do or might have to do, sometimes that feels too daunting. Sometimes that feels like, oh man, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, I don't want to fucking do this shit. And you start to get depressed because you start to imagine all the struggles and obstacles you're gonna have to face, the judgment from others and what they gonna think about your progress, whether or not you making it or not. And God forbid you actually in some form of a relationship where you got people who's in your personal life kind of looking at you, may not understand all the time what it is that you're going through to develop, you know, like what you going through. But again, here's the time where we have to express that, because if people around us don't know what we're going through, we can't expect to be seen and understood. But again, it's not their responsibility to make us feel better about that, but they need to actually know what's going on too, if they're in your life like that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, like, again, I get it, not everybody is in a situation like that where they even got people around them that they can express themselves to. But again, you got somebody in your life, and if they are a part of it in a way where you talk to them on somewhat of a consistent basis, and they affect kind of like what you got going on every now and then, like for instance, like a friend group, right? They not all in your personal business, but you know, y'all hang out occasionally, y'all might have somewhat of a routine as far as how frequently y'all communicate. And sometimes they want you to do what they doing, sometimes you want to do, you know, you want them to help you with what you got going on, if they're a friend in your life and shit like that. Again, you know, still understanding that there's a level of expression you can still express. You got to express yourself so that they can they can understand what they're, you know, because again, you never know, you expressing yourself could be somebody that overhear you and actually got the exact thing you asking for, or got the thing you need, or has at least a word, maybe not of advice or just a suggestion. It could be anything that can actually give you some insight onto something you going through on a personal level. So never be afraid to just express yourself. You know, don't be a fool about it and just tell any and everybody your business. But, you know, there's a lot of power in just being honest and allowing others to see you. You know what I'm saying? Too many times we let ourselves kind of go under the radar and we don't speak up, and we wonder why the world treat us the way it do, like it don't see us, like our efforts aren't ever recognized, why we don't ever feel like I get the reciprocation I want and shit like that. And it's just because how often do you actually express how you truly feel? How often do you put that and make it known? You know what I'm saying? You walk into the building, you know, your coworker has no problem telling you what's going on in their life, and you be like, man, shut the fuck up. But you don't realize what them expressing themselves is the reason why low-key they got a better relationship with different coworkers. The other coworkers, they got a better relationship with the manager. The manager understand their situation, so they might get off a little earlier than you. They might get a little more, you know, attention in some areas, help in some other areas. And see, that's one of the biggest things even Scorpio energy's got to learn too, because a Scorpio be like, man, I'm doing this on my own and I'm a hard body. But whole time it's them being, you know, resistant to everything that keeps them from actually getting the support that they desperately want on the low. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why that jumped in, but I had to say that too. Shout out to Sunshine Williams. He said, thank you, you're spot on. He said, your progress looks like nobody else's. Real shit. Yup. And shout out to McCoy. He said, that's where I'm at. Yeah. That's like, I mean, you know, I know you like everybody is somewhat on some space of like where we're going through right now, where and see, that's the thing about Cancer too. Cancer is such an energy where you got to understand it's opposite to Capricorn. Capricorn is where we get status. The fourth house in Cancer is where the irony is the irony of it is this is where the actual work is really at the core of things. You know what I'm saying? You see the house after it's built, and okay, yeah, we got the status, but all the work that came into the work that people don't see, the emotional hardship and the emotional labor that goes into actually doing something great and that gets respected and reaches a status point, it's not seen. So this is that point where it's like, yo, nobody really is able to, like, nobody right now is able to be really seen for all the work that they actually doing. So of course we all gonna feel unappreciated. Of course we all gonna feel, again, unnoticed, unseen, and then on top of that still have to show up every day. It can start to become so draining. And but again, it's that focus that we really have to keep intact in order to get the work done, because it still got to get done. You know, a household is, that's why, like, even in you know, a relationship, whoever is taking care of the household, you know, yeah, I could go to work all day, but the household itself, if the household ain't right, whatever we do outside that house is going to look like bullshit. You know, because the home, the core, where you go to get that restoration, where you go to get that preparation for the day, if that's not in order, your whole system fucked up. And that's why, again, like, even during Cancer season, understanding our own self-care needs and things like that. And in this energy in particular with the moon and Leo, we have to express ourselves so that we can start to set, and this is like a form of setting boundaries in a way, you know what I'm saying? And that's a big theme too, just with the Saturn retrograde and Pisces, boundaries being set, you know, kind of reviewing what old boundaries was and enforcing new boundaries. And it's a gift to do that right now. So we all hyper aware of what we actually need emotionally. We just need to make sure we continue to express that and make it known and actually do the work to set these boundaries up, because we have to reinforce these things. We have to let it, you know, actually stand so that we can have enough, like I said before, restoration energies, getting back to where we want to be at emotionally so we can prepare ourselves to step out into the world again. That's highly necessary right now. But the point of what I'm saying at this moment is just, you know, there's a lot of emotional labor that's going in right now. You said Cancer internal, Capricorn is external. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? These being opposite energies, the like I was even saying about going into the new moon and kind of looking at the opposite moon, and even understand the nature of us going towards a full moon in Capricorn, right on that cusp. But y'all get what I'm saying, these energies being opposite is recognizing that uh there's an you know, the emotional work and responsibility, we have to honor that. So the emotional work and responsibility, what I mean by that is, again, getting up every day and choosing to fulfill the day with better thoughts and feelings. That's where it starts. Those things need to lead to better actions too. You know, actions that look like you taking care of yourself, aka let me less up on this one habit that I know ain't really taking me nowhere. Let me put more attention, time, and effort into maybe dealing with some of the more difficult things to handle in my life. But I'm doing it because I love myself, and I'm doing it because I know that this is a better choice for me than the other thing that I used to you know, overindulge in, you know. And that's part of the discipline. That's like kind of the underlying thing, because again, Capricorn, I love looking at opposite energies to understand the natures of each one. Capricorn, again, part of Capricorn, that Saturnian energy, is sacrifice and discipline. So even with Cancer, sometimes there's sacrifice and discipline needed when it comes to the emotional state. I need to sacrifice certain emotional states for the sake of me being in a better headspace. I need to what is it? Be disciplined on how I feel in certain ways in order to make sure that I stay consistent on the emotions, mentals, you know, when I say mentality, thoughts and feelings, that's actually going to get me the results I want. You know what I'm saying? Too many times, again, like I said, this Cancer energy is easy to get swept up in what you feel, but let those feelings that might be negative at the moment keep you from realizing, like, yo, I still have a responsibility to feel how I want to feel. So I can cry for a minute, but let me wipe my motherfucking face, get up, and let's start to develop better emotions around this. And again, that easy to say, highly difficult to do, but the ways in which we're able to do that is sometimes it just takes you, whether you need to play music for a little bit, whether you need to create something, whether you need to, you know, again, call a friend up, whatever it is, whether it's you just need to go to work and get some more money, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is for you, you need to make sure that you allow yourself, you love yourself enough to do that and go that length with yourself. Like, I'm gonna go to the length of whatever it takes in order to develop the emotional security I need to do my motherfucking thing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, it's your life, bro. You know, and that's the whole thing about the summertime and what we got to realize. And this being a year eight, this is a gruesome year emotionally. Like, there's a lot of work to do, like in shadow work, you know what I'm saying? A lot of transformation is needed. But if we don't do, it's like step by step, man. If you don't do one step, you're not going to be prepared for the next. And at some point, you have to start that momentum. And if you don't start that momentum, you're going to be crushed. It's not going to be moving at the rate it needs to be moving in order to get you over the hump. You know what I'm saying? But whether you've been planting good seeds and you got a little flow going, or you starting from scratch, the work still got to get done. Just because you ignore it now, again, like I said, these retrogrades, and we got retrogrades and some very powerful energies that you really don't want to fuck around with. Pluto retrograde, Saturn retrograde, and what's the other one? Neptune. You know what I'm saying? You might think shit's sweet, but when Pluto go direct, you gonna see, oh damn, I really can't do. Oh shit, I'm really dealing with that. I'm really dealing with this. This is real life. Saturn go direct. Oh, this is reality for real. Oh no, you know what I'm saying? Neptune go direct. Damn, I was really in a delusion, and that delusion ain't helped me build shit. It get deep around here, and so like right now, and see again, it's summertime, so. And you got to even think about it, like people who be like, you know, in songs that be like, yeah, I was working through the summer. I was working all summer. Or, you know, even the ideology behind like working through the summer, everybody else outside, everybody having fun, but you sacrifice a little bit of that for the sake of you getting your shit together. So by the winter or by next summer, you on point. There's a lot of power to that. And, you know, right now, and that's the thing about the summertime, like the people out really doing work are the people you don't see at the moment. You know what I'm saying? It's the people you don't see outside, but you having fun and you outside. You're like, man, where's so-and-so at? Man, I called him. I think he at work or something like that. Like, you be thinking they missing out. Whole time you don't realize, you know, There was things you was avoiding by just being outside. There was things you wasn't actually getting on point with. So they pop out and they like, damn, yo, where you get that new car? Like, damn, where you get that new vibe, that new status? Damn, like I see you taking trips out the country and shit like that. What happened? Oh, like they was actually at work. You know what I'm saying? You said appreciate the small things. Yep. You said gotta start now. Right. Gotta start somewhere. You know what I'm saying? You gotta start somewhere. It's like, man, whether or not you really feel like you there or not, and especially if you feel like you're not there, because what the fuck is you celebrating at that point? And that's one of the things, like even for Leo season, it's like be just mindful of where you spending your time. This ain't even an outside year. It being a year 8 is really an internal year. Really, I'm not gonna say what we need to be doing and what people can't do, but you know, we on some level got to be aware and cognizant of the emotional work that's necessary to do what we want to do. We have to be aware and willing to sacrifice a little bit of the outside energy for what's going on internally so that we can heal, we can be prepared on an emotional level, a mental space that's clear and healthy. You know, we have to actually put effort. This is the year to do these things. Because again, when we flip-flop and we go to a more masculine year, it's like, it's not going to even be, it's like when we go into a masculine year, everybody going to be outside and you going to still be dealing with emotional trauma and work that you didn't do. You know what I'm saying? He said, between listening to y'all fam and me doing my own work, ain't no way I can't bullshit. Right. And that is the beauty of a community in another way. It's like when I look outside and I see all my people doing what they supposed to do. And even again, we all got private lives. We all got shit we dealing with. So we don't see everything. But again, the fact I could look over, see your channel. Damn, you going live every morning. Like, shout out to you. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Jackie New. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta go live. That reminds me, I gotta figure out this, even if I'm going through an emotional downfall. And again, watching y'all shit help my emotions get better at times. Like, damn, okay, I feel like there is something to work for in the world, or something to do. I do need to show up. You know, we going through all that back and forth. So don't think you by yourself. We all going through that back and forth and just being like, yo, I cannot bullshit right now. I gotta show up in whatever way I can. You know what I'm saying? I can't, you know, in any way I can. And that's the biggest thing about right now. And it's really, like I said, even with that metaphor with the flood, think about a flood and how devastating that is. But, you know, water clearing everything out, there's beauty in that. Because now it's like after it's all said and done, all the everything is cleared out, the opportunity for new life, you know. Us going into the third decan of Cancer, that's what that represents, expanding on that. But first, it kind of takes us going through the actual pain and frustration of getting to somewhere that's more emotionally comfortable, even that, but going through the uncomfortability, going through the reality of it. I seen a post that was saying that it was like, you don't really heal until until you actually face the pain and you manage the pain. You know, a lot of us, as soon as we start feeling the pain, oh, let me go run to that crutch. Let me go run to that one thing that's gonna make it feel good. Is this connected? We still live? This shit tripping. We still live and shit? When you facing these things, you know, that's when okay, we good. Okay, cool. Yeah, when you actually going through it, that's when you actually you know, you face that pain and you deal with what that uncomfortable energy is. That's you actually really healing. You know what I'm saying? Today's culture, they'll convince you healing is some kind of magical land where we can just escape what the fuck we going through and get through it and get better. But it's like, nah, it's not till you sit there and you face what the fuck been bugging you out, you know? Because it's about strength. Your spirit, just like if you was to be working out, you need the tension, you need the weight on there, you know, and you can't do that in a comfortable space. You're not adding no weight to it. You're not facing the burn, feeling the pain. Once you feel that pain, again, feeling and internalizing two different things. That's where people get messed up. They want to internalize the pain. So again, that could look like a toxic reaction to it, to the point where they internalize, they feel like it's them that is actually getting hurt. No, feeling the pain is just acknowledging that that's a space that you dealing with. You know what I'm saying? When you like, and the better you can manage, shout out to Free, you know what I'm saying? The better you can manage these different things, this is how you get to a better place. It's like if you don't sit with no pain and you just go through life trying to avoid it, you start to realize, like, again, no growth was made. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what keep people from ever amounting to anything in life. And I'm talking about real life. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to stay in your own bubble and imagine and delude, go into such a deep delusion that you think it's all good and you think, oh, I don't need this. I don't need nobody. I'm just myself and I just But you don't realize, like, no growth was really made in actual life. You just in your own head creating that fantasy of feeling good. Life is not about feeling good. And you start to realize it, because again, when you go home and you alone and you got to deal with them things again, by not facing what the fuck you got to deal with, you just prolonging the process. You just making it more drawn out and unnecessary. The second you say, wait, I'm not gonna run from this, I'm gonna face this shit, the second you actually start to get better ideas on what it is you're going through. And again, that's how you start to become a vessel for God to teach through. Because now you meet other people along your journey, and when they present energies that you recognize, you can actually step in with a word of advice that is actually beneficial to them. And this is how you are respected, and how you also get good graces done to you. This is how you create good in the world, by knowing how to move. You know what I'm saying? See, it's like when you don't know, like when you going through life and you living toxic and you living, you causing more stress and trauma upon others. This is why you start to create karmic situations that look like that. And let's be clear, this is not a conversation on good karma, bad karma in the terms of oh, if I'm a good person, then I get good done to me. You know what I'm saying? No, it's not even about being a good person. This is about being true to yourself, and putting more truth into the world versus more lies and falsehood. And lies and falsehood is what create the trauma. When you haven't faced different things within you. So again, back to what we used to talk about before. Now you're projected. Now you getting hit with energies and you just throwing it on any and everybody, causing all kinds of damage to their internal. You know what I'm saying? And again, you don't got to care about all that, but at the end of the day, what you put out into the world is what you get back. So if you're not actually confronting these different things that's making you uncomfortable, you see it for what it is, and now you express it with some form of intelligence, you just perpetuating cycles. You just causing more issues. You know what I'm saying? And people do this so subconsciously. You know what I'm saying? He said we are free. You know what I'm saying? He said Paris is, yeah, I ain't gonna mess that up. I gotta get my my different language game up, my bilingual game. He said the land you live on, that's what's up. Came to conquer. Yep. Real talk. You know, and that's the thing. We have to be better managers of our own mind, because that's really what it's all about. Like, how can I manage my mind better so that I can, again, put more good in the world than trauma, put more authenticity. And it's like it helps you along the way too, because you become more honest about yourself and you find yourself in situations that's more suited for who you are. When we lie to ourselves, we create circumstances that are toxic to us. You know, think about that. Like, think about it. Your mind creates your reality. So if your mind is fulfilled with a bunch of stuff that makes you not honest with yourself, if your mind is cluttered with, again, false perceptions of yourself and the world around you, you're not going to create things of truth. You're going to create things that create more resistance, because you in your heart know, oh, that's not really me. But like the mind, like it's kind of trippy. Like the mind doesn't recognize that. The mind can only reproduce what it's enclosed in. And it's not till you actually see a lot of people wait till they see the physical representations of their mind to be like, oh, I gotta change. I gotta do this. I haven't been doing that. And that's a natural part of life, because again, chances are you grew up with even parents that didn't quite know all these different things and couldn't prepare you in certain ways. So as a kid, you develop bad habits, and then boom, you know what I'm saying? He said, my country is where I am loved. Yeah. And country being your internal state. I was like, we have to create that first. so that we can create the world around us we want to see. And the closer we get to that truth, the closer we can start to create things in our reality that remind us of why we here. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll be fucking around when you got the wrong things on your mind. All you do is produce representations that actually cause you to kind of low-key forget the purpose of why you even on this planet. It's like, why am I even here? I got to deal with this. Why am I even here? I got to deal with that. And it's like it's like we have a responsibility to take care of our own mind, to create the reality that's going to constantly bring you reminders to keep you motivated to keep breathing air. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about, like, if you really want to be happy, that's why they say, like, it's about the mind. Because, okay, if you got a healthy mind, here you are constantly, then that's all life starts to become. Like when we say things like, oh, I see synchronicities and angel numbers and all this other shit, it really is just you in your own mind creating representations of reminders that be like, oh, I am here for a purpose. Oh, and again, that's living in your purpose. You get reminders. You get reminded based upon even how you interact with the world and the results you get from the world, where people show you, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like you go through an experience and it's like a person just say the right words to make you go, oh, damn, okay, today was a good day. Somebody, you know what I'm saying? Whatever that looked like. Could look like you finding money on the ground or something like that. It can come in so many different ways. And even on top of that, a healthy mind still also has to be aware of when these blessings come in large forms, but more importantly on small forms. You know what I'm saying? You mad because you got a job, but be happy you got a job that can actually help you afford or pay towards something that you trying to invest in, that goes towards where you really want to be at. You know what I'm saying? And again, that's where a lot of people start to be like, will start to feel or label themselves, gaslight themselves, and to be like, well, maybe I'm just delusional. But it's like, no, that's just, the word optimism exists. You know what I'm saying? Just because you're optimistic doesn't mean you're delusional. Delusion is something entirely different. Delusion is when there's inconsistencies between what you imagine and somewhat the reality of things. Like thinking optimistically, and I wish I could actually jump in to see the actual definition. But when you're dealing with delusion, it's like delusion in and of itself is like you creating this false reality bubble. But optimism is just simply, it's not expecting, but it's opening yourself up for the possibility of things maybe going in your favor. It's not about ignoring what makes sense. It's about just being open to the possibility of things going in your nature. Being skeptical is being aware of the potential of things maybe going wrong, or being a learning process along the way. Being pessimistic is being open to the possibility of all negative things happening. So it's like these different degrees of just being open to the possibility. And we understand that God is all possibilities. So yes, both of these things have to exist, but it's your choice to be pointing to, to determine where you want to face. You said hopeful and confident about the future. Real shit. Yeah, okay, helpful and confident about the future. That's the optimism. Versus what delusion actually is. Delusion in and of itself is lying to yourself. So delusion is like, you can be optimistic and not necessarily be delusional. You know what I'm saying? So don't get that confused, because sometimes you'd be like, oh, just because I'm positive about it, I'm delusional. And it's like, no, it's just being open to it, you know what I'm saying? And confident about it. Confidence, what we talked about early, being able to trust yourself, because that is a responsibility too. That if things, because a lot of times humans be looking at situations and don't even trust themselves to know what to do if things go good. So again, ways in which we subconsciously self-sabotage be off of that underlying belief. And it's just coming from a lack of confidence. You don't trust yourself for things to go good. Especially think about like how a lot of people really talk. Like conversations with your friends. It be like, I know growing up, it's funny. I didn't really realize this till now, but even the rhetoric you'll see online, it's more common for people to laugh and joke about how shitty things are, how shitty their life is, how they don't like what they doing, how you know, and like that's become kind of the common small talk. Is like, let's get around and talk about the job I don't like. Let's get around and talk about the circumstances I got to deal with and this, that, and the third. When it's like, you know, you think about what that does to your mental state. That means like you're kind of agreeing with a certain underlying narrative that things in your life low key won't work out, or there's always going to be some kind of difficult situation that you got to deal with and put a false smile on. And it's like, that's like the type of culture that this society kind of created to make that a common conversation piece, a common thing for small talk to be relayed. And it's like you start to, and again, that's the reason I stopped really wanting to talk to, you know, having certain small talk with people, because you start to realize like this is what they think is normal, and this is what they really believe. And it all kind of lends itself to like, there's this, a lot of times people be in this emotional undercurrent of really believing that things might not, you know, things are probably not going to work out for them. You know what I'm saying? And again, think about the nature of society and what they perpetuate on the news and in every little aspect of our lives. It's like, you know, the potential of war, oh, the economy shitty, all this. You watch the news, it's all of them just complaining, listing out things for you to complain about to your next door neighbor, to your friend, to your auntie, uncle, all these different people. Before you know it, you done told everybody in your family about a tragic accident that happened and somebody got robbed, and complained about the economy and politics. You didn't give no life to them. You didn't give them nothing of life. You didn't tell them, hey, keep on doing your creative natures. I seen what you was working on the other day. Really good job. You didn't tell them, hey, I believe in you today. You know what I'm saying? I believe in you. Be great today. You know what I'm saying? Have a good day. You didn't ask them about what they dealing with. You didn't do nothing of that. You just perpetuated a bunch of conversation about things that, why are we even worried about that in the first place? You know what I'm saying? But shout out to 718, said, you know what I'm saying? He said, and taking action on the optimism can lead to positive materializing. He said people most confident in their charismatic gift blow up the quickest. Right. You know what I'm saying? Confident on your gift. And yeah, just confident in that's the thing. It's like we call ourselves wanting certain things, but to want something, there's a emotional responsibility to actually believe that and carry out, you know, play out energies that go along with that, create thoughts and feelings that agree with that, whatever direction you're striving in, you know, you're trying to move in. You have to also follow that up with the right thoughts and feelings and actions that's going to support that, you know. And it's a balance thing. Like even with the optimism, like I said, just as much as things can go well, things can go wrong. So you can prepare yourself. It's a balance, you know. But too many times you find people going to the extreme of one. You know, you overly optimistic, all you can see is things going well. Well, now, yes, you're developing delusion because you're too one-sided. Pessimist is delusional too. You're too one-sided on negative things, self-doubt, not trusting yourself. You too unhopeful. You think everything will go wrong. When you create balance, that's the healthy amount of it. You know what I'm saying? But you can lean on one end. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're going to prepare for things going wrong, but let me lean toward the possibility of things going right, though. You know, versus just being, oh, I'm going to be overly optimistic. I'm going to put myself in this little bubble and lie to myself when I know certain things is not going well. Because it's really about being open to change. And when you know, delusion is being so, you know, you're creating this false reality for yourself, and you start to become unable to change in that space. You know, you're not aware of the things that need your attention for adjustment along the way. So, get back to where the moon is at. So the moon in Leo is it is creating a sextile with Jupiter in Gemini. So opportunities for you to expand information, you know what I'm saying, better information on how to express yourself. You know, this is that type of energy too, where, you know, you can also have better ways of communicating what you feel, you know, communicating and expressing kind of going hand in hand, you know, giving color to your communication style. What you have learned and what you've been going through in your experiences, now you can kind of take that and shape that into things that can now be expressed. So you can incorporate that into your creative gifts, or just your understanding of the world and the experiences you're going through at the moment. Um, when it comes to the moon and Leo, also trining Chiron, trining the North Node. So getting more comfortable with, and that's another thing too, getting comfortable with the information you're expanding on in your experiences. So, you know, this is a good time for really learning new things, different ways of going about your goals. Um, you know, it's the opportunity to get more comfortable with pursuing that information, and now you have something to talk about. Now, Moon trine in the Chiron and North Node, get more comfortable with mistakes, right? This could look like you starting to actually get to a place where, because it's almost like if you can accept some of the mistakes you made in the past, this is like you starting to make amends with yourself to actually do some real healing. It's like when you start to accept, like, okay, yeah, I did that, but I'm choosing to do better. It's a form of, you know, taking that mistake, and now you're learning from it. So now it's kind of like a confidence boost if you feel like you know better now. um get more comfortable with your spiritual path. Again, all these uncomfortable things that you got to deal with, you can choose to start facing these things. You know, it's really behind whether or not you're ready to face these things. If you're ready to face these things and see them and acknowledge them for what they are, you really on the right track. You know what I'm saying? You putting yourself in a better position than the other side of that, which is being more avoidant of these things and choosing to, again, like that Leo energy, wanting to be seen and wanting attention for certain things. If you're leaning too much on that and you're turning certain things that you're supposed to be doing on your own time internally into ego boosts, like you think you're gonna get something in the external world because of some kind of internal work that you're doing, so you want to be seen for it. You don't want to actually do it to become a better person. You're trying to get seen for it because you think it's gonna get you into a better position. That's the wrong perspective. And again, you're gonna end up showing your ass, or you're gonna end up waiting around being you know, procrastinating for somebody to give you praise for something that you supposed to been doing on your own. Like you supposed to be things like we was just talking about, gaining confidence to do your thing and getting it. You know, you gonna be sitting around for somebody to give you a clapping hand before you get up and actually express yourself. You might never get the chance, and you gonna pass up on your opportunity to actually be seen and get the praise. And again, if you know, you shouldn't really just be doing things for praise, but think about it like this: if you got up and you just did the thing, that would get you where you want to be at. If where you want to get at is recognized and seen, that'll get you where you want to be a lot faster. Instead, a lot of people will sit around and wait and expect somebody to see something special in them, when that's the wrong perspective to even be looking at life from. You know what I'm saying? You really don't deserve nothing looking at life like that. You know, and you're going to start to experience how long it takes to do that. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like it's just gonna be longer time it take for you to get up off your ass and actually do something. You done passed up all these opportunities that you would have been able to tap into if you just got up and you chose to do things because it's who you are. You know, that's how you could tell this person's doing something because that's who they are, versus this is somebody who's doing something for the look. And that's always going to be the downfall of Leo energy, is doing stuff for the look versus actually being true. And that in and of itself too is the nature of the square between Leo and Taurus. The value behind what you put on that stage. Why should we care? Why should we invest in this? Why should I buy tickets to go to that thing? You know what I'm saying? Why should I buy tickets to your show? The value that you able to provide your audience or whoever's watching. You know. Um, But yeah, with the moon trining the North Node, that's kind of the thing. Is like you have the gift to get more comfortable with these things, and if you got the right perspective on it, and you're not being too egotistical about your spiritual path, you're not being too egotistical about your healing process and stuff. You know, again, let the world tell it. The healing process is something that you need to vlog about, and you know they didn't turn healing in dealing with certain things like that into entertainment, and that's not really what it is. Or a monetary gain thing where now you selling a course to heal yourself and shit like that. Again, I don't knock the hustle, but you can understand how that can start to, you know, alter the original point of these things into something it wasn't, you know, into something it's not. You know what I'm saying? Um, Also, the way people speak about these things. because that's the thing too with Gemini, Jupiter and Gemini. Like I was saying before, it's easy to pick up on bad advice, but a person make it sound good, so you think that's something you should be listening to, and that's not the case at all. You kind of need to do your research and get a little curious about where the information is coming from. If you know, without that little bit of curiosity, you're going to be playing out detrimental energies when it comes to that Jupiter in Gemini, where it's like the information you get, the information you got was wrong. Yeah, you expanded in it and it turned into something you could talk all day about, but now you just perpetuating bad advice or bad ways to think about something, you know, or ways that's not quite accurate, you know, and then somebody's gonna come around and correct you, and you got to be willing to be open to be still corrected. Yeah, the moon, and so the moon itself is in conjunct Saturn too. So again, more uncomfortable feelings about reality and how things are going and how we feel about reality. We just misunderstand it. We want to be seen for this, but the root of the issue is really that. So we kind of have to clear up that little misunderstanding so that not only can we express our truth, but also we can start to learn how to feel and see some of the things we're dealing with on an emotional level. So that when it does come out our mouth, it doesn't come out as just emotional jumble. It comes out as like, oh, you know, I want this. This is what I'm feeling. This is who I am. Or, you know, saying clarity. You know, you want to make it as clear as possible so people can actually understand what you're saying or understand your expression. And you're not over exaggerating, because that's the thing with Leo too. Just expressing yourself in some kind of grand way that becomes overbearing to where people don't want to listen to you. You just, you know, it's just too much. Like, damn, chill. You know what I'm saying? And again, you don't want to start to perpetuate that energy, because then you won't really feel alone, especially if what you expressing ain't yeah, like, because you know, y'all know, like, when it comes to Leo energies and expressing anything, it could be the realest shit in the world, but let's say you just around people who not giving you that energy back. Sometimes that could be so, you know, sometimes that could be discouraging to the point where you shut down. You feel embarrassed now. You don't want to express nothing. And it's like, you know, that's just how people get discouraged on a own, you know, on a path. And a lot of this comes from us being in locations and spaces where we don't have enough people who think like us or see things how we see it, to be able to be related to keep that heat going, to keep that fire going, you know what I'm saying, to keep, you know, that support that everybody need. Another thing about, you know, community and shit like that, it's like that's another purpose of it. You know, we have more, is more confidence in numbers. You know, you got to be willing to stand on your own, but it also feels good to have people just kind of say that they feel you, or get, you know, have people around you to say, yo, I see that too. Okay, cool, I'm not crazy, you know what I'm saying, type energies. Yeah, we talked a little bit about the, did we talk about it, the moon and Leo squaring Mars and Uranus. So we're learning how to see change, how to feel and see about change, you know. And again, stubborn ways of seeing change can make it difficult to change. So that is a challenging aspect, a very challenging aspect, because we got these very fixed energies dealing with trying to be more changing, you know what I'm saying, trying to actually rebel and oppose against something, you know. So you got to think about it as where you set your emotional stance is really key. If you set your emotional stance towards changing for the better, then you're going to use that friction energy to actually overcome, confront, and fight through some of the more difficult aspects of changing. If you set your emotional state against change because you want to be comfortable and you want to be stubborn, then you're going to fight tooth and nail to keep your life in the same bullshit that it was already in. You're going to basically make a stance that's going to destroy the progress you've been trying to make to change and make your life different and better, you know, so arguably. So we have to be very mindful of that, you know, that we're not being stubborn towards growth because we're too scared to get uncomfortable for the moment. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to deal with that right now. So yeah, you're going to start to come up with all kinds of ideas to double down on being like, no, I'm not going to change. I'm not going to change that aspect of about myself that I know damn well I don't need to still participate in. You know what I'm saying? I know damn well don't need to still be part of my day to day. You know, you don't want to do that, especially not now, because again, during the summer portion, the next energy we will be entering is Leo. And so, like I said before, Leo is going to be about that center stage and what you put on it. And if you didn't take the time to really understand what you're going through now to position yourself to do, you know what I'm saying, to get things on track, what you're going to be showing is things that's going to just lead to more and more of you kind of, again, you not really expressing your truth. It's going to be more things that kind of show how unaware you are really. And again, this can turn into stuff that becomes embarrassing. This could turn into stuff that make you feel like you know, kind of make you lose that fire. You know what I'm saying? By the end of Leo season, you know, you kind of dealing with Virgo in a stressed out way, because what you put on that stage wasn't stuff that was really true to you. It wasn't it, or what you spent your attention on, what you engaged in and you thought was entertaining. It didn't really provide you no value. It didn't actually help you express yourself. It really didn't help you get more clear with your individuality. It didn't really, you know, help you be seen for who you really are. It just kind of gave a facade, and people didn't connect with that anyway. So now you kind of feel double hurt. You know, it's different things. It's like Leo goes deep in its own way. And when we come out on the other end in Virgo season, when it's scrambling time and everybody trying to get those final things ready, you still gonna have to play catch up, because again, like I said, you wasn't really showing yourself for who you are. You wasn't being honest. You wasn't being truthful. You wasn't expressing your heart. So you find yourself in a very uncomfortable position where you almost have to put your, you know, you have to put your pride so far aside that you can't even really be you at the moment. You got to be what everybody else need. So you go into Virgo season being not just of service, you damn near a slave to other people's egos. You forced to kind of grovel, and you're forced to do things that don't really feel good as a spirit. And you could fight, you could resist it, you can rebel against it, but it's not actually going to help you. It's like, it's almost like the universe kind of, it's almost like God putting you in a position where you have to come to terms with the bed that you made. You know, and it's like, that's one of the things that is always going to happen. There's always going to be a time where that's going to be the thing. It's like, you have to come to terms with the bed you made. So where we at? Moon and Leo. Yeah, talking about that square. So right now, yeah, where we set our emotional stance at is really important. And then keep in mind too, the moon gonna be in Virgo tomorrow. So a lot of this energy is gonna start to turn into reacting and responding on things that's already stressing us, reality and what we're worried about. So the reality of what we feel, and you know, but this, you know, that's not it's a sextile with the Cancer energy. So this could be really good emotional cleanup energy, you know what I'm saying, where again, like, it's almost like if this Leo moon brought anything to the surface that created that kind of maybe created an explosion or somewhat of an eruption of energy, you know, there's a lot of ways in which that could have been very helpful, and that could have been really healthy. Because if what you was expressing was really true, Virgo is here to kind of clean that up. So create more consistency, or more, not consistency, but create, you know, almost like taking another seat and being like, okay, this is what didn't work. This is how we fix it and adjust it, but on an emotional level. So that's kind of some of the benefit that could come from the moon being in Virgo, sun being in Cancer tomorrow. But that's why it's important though for this Leo energy to just get it off your chest, because getting it off your chest is better than holding it down, because now it's not even something that's now presented to be able to be fixed. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's aware of it. So when we're going to see what works and what don't work, if you didn't tell the truth in Leo, we gonna skip over that. We might skip over that. We might not have noticed that was something that needed our attention, where we could have went in and fixed some things and got some things organized in a better way internally. You know, and then the Virgo moon too will help a little bit with some of the sensitivity energy to make us a little more willing to change, willing to fix things in our life that we know ain't going in our favor, but not look at it like an emotional way of we just want attention, or we're too sensitive to kind of deal with it, so we want to avoid it and escape it. It's going to be more of an energy where we can say, wait a minute, I can't let this keep on going. You know what I'm saying? I have to get up and I have to put in work. and it's going to make us a little more emotionally secure because it's going to be the moon in the earth sign. So it's like we're more connected to reality and the responsibility. Like, okay, well, let's clean this up a little bit. He said, roll on. Yeah. Other than that, what else? Yeah, moon. So we still got Venus in Cancer too. Venus is making its way into Leo. It's getting close. Not there yet. I think it's gonna be a couple more days, but just getting prepared for like cuspy energies with Venus from Cancer into Leo. So we've been kind of in a place where I kind of look at Venus and Cancer kind of, it's kind of tough because it's like those things that we've been appreciating or valuing, overindulging in, it's been in the space to kind of be connected with our comfort zone. So I kind of feel like moving into Leo, it'll be instead of it being comfort zone based, it's going to be something that we express. So again, another reason why right now we need to be aware of us adjusting our desires and adjusting things that are getting us to kind of lock, don't let that habit be a crutch. You know what I'm saying? Know those energies, correcting those things. The better we can do that now, the better it'll be as it moves into Leo, because it'll be more of an energy of now we can express things that's more tasteful. It's gonna be we expressing how we did get sober on that one thing. Oh yeah, I left that habit alone. It's gonna be a better look, and it's gonna help with our ability to express. But also it's gonna be a time for expressing what we love and appreciate. And by showing what you love and appreciate, if it's more things that's looking like healthier things that you're appreciating and that you valuing, it's gonna be like, oh damn, like, what I'm saying, that's gonna be a nice energy to kind of show. But if you still kind of involved in things that's not actually getting to where you want to be at, then it's like, you still kind of addicted to that one thing, you still using that one habit as a crutch, you still doing that. What you express and show is going to be the result of that. So it's like it might not be as tasteful as what you present. So you want to just be mindful of that when it comes to your what you love, appreciate, and value. Clean it up. And during that, yeah, but we'll talk about that energy when that time comes. Mercury is still in Cancer. No, Mercury is in Leo. So Mercury conjuncting the moon, saying how we feel, understanding that our thoughts and feelings are having very intimate conversations at the moment. What we think, analyze, and how we see things is being completely covered by what we feel about it. So again, a lot of biases can come up in conversation. Just be mindful of that, where your own personal biases or your own emotional sensitivity levels is determining how you communicate. So you just got to be aware of that, so that you can still keep communication clear. Just understand, again, this could be a time where it's about talking about how you feel, or you need to be analyzing how you think about how you feel so that you can communicate more effectively. So you don't let it overpower you getting your point across. Like, what I'm saying? Because again, if you feel some kind of way and it's not making you think clear, then you kind of setting yourself up for an issue. Hey, 555, real shit. And that's about the emotional state too. But you don't want to set yourself like that. You know what I'm saying? You want to set yourself up. You want to make sure that what you're communicating is from the heart, but you're not just communicating a bunch of biases and you taking things personal energies. You want to make sure you actually being accurate, about what you want to say, conveying your point. Also understanding that even how you're seeing life and how you're seeing the world, it's in your hands at the moment. You know what I'm saying? And you got to speak what you want to see. You got to like live that out, and you got to express that. Because again, you might wake up in a very bad mood, and it makes everything look way worse than it actually is. So take yourself out of that and decide for yourself. Well, yeah, I might be going through some things, but is life really that bad? Nah, let me start thinking better about it so I can start feeling better about it. And again, easier said than done. But again, speaking life into yourself and others versus speaking death and taking away things, because it's like life already difficult. You know, you want to use your mind to make it better, not make it more difficult for you and everybody else around you. You can use your mind to make things better. You know what I'm saying? And this is not even me saying it's about just being pleasant, because you bringing attention and awareness to negative things is positive too. You know what I'm saying? Again, like Virgo energies, for instance. You know, you might be annoyed by what a Virgo is presenting to you, but they're trying to help, even though what they might bring up is something that seems negative. Like, damn, you always talking about how this not working and that not working, but they doing that for the sake of adjusting things to get better. You know what I'm saying? Not just because they, you know, so being aware of that too. So if you're an individual who feels like you have things to say, but you see the energy and like, oh, I don't want to make nobody feel bad. No, again, still express yourself, because even that negative thing that you might have to say is the positive thing, or the thing that could lead to a positive adjustment that helps the whole team. You know what I'm saying? So you want to also be yourself in that aspect. You know, all these different energies play out. It's not just about being happy. It's not just about feeling good. It's not just about being nice or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? It's about being true. That's really it. Just being true, honest, authentic, like genuine. If it's coming from those kind of spaces, again, negative, positive, both are necessary. You know, some people are, again, energetically, spiritually more focused on things that might look negative in the world, and some people are more conditioned to look at what's positive. But both of these people exist for a reason, and a lot of times these people find relationships with each other for a reason. It creates that balance. You know what I'm saying? Where one person is always kind of looking at this, other person's looking at that. That's kind of how you want it. You don't want both y'all only looking at this, because then now you have a whole blind spot on this end. You know what I'm saying? And again, you within your own self have to do that same balance too. If you know you're a positive person, you have to have a space in your mind that you're at least aware of what could go the other way, so that you're not a fool. You know what I'm saying? And we all have the capacity to do this, and we have to do this for ourselves and as we do this with ourselves, we meet other people who can play out better balancing energies. You know what I'm saying? But doing that within yourself, creating that equilibrium, is how you be more accurate, honest, truthful about what it is, who you are, what you see, and what you put out in the world. And that becomes what you attract. So you attract the balance by playing out balance. It's like, you know, one of those things. That's why, like, if you're living a very unbalanced life, you might manifest somebody who comes into your life and creates extremes in one area, or extreme havoc, like somebody who's extremely toxic, or somebody who's extremely optimistic, or extremely, you know, pleasant and positive. And you're like, why does it play out like that? Or they create extreme situations in your life on one direction or the other. And a lot of it is because you was living your life maybe too on one side, and this person is kind of bringing you somewhere in the middle. If you've been kind of doing the right balance within you, you know, again, like I said, that's coming from being in balance and just expressing yourself in any kind of way. But yeah, let me see what else we got. So Moon, we hit Aries, talked about Taurus, Gemini, was that Cancer, you know what I'm saying? We're already talking about that. Leo, Virgo, nothing in Libra, nothing in Scorpio, nothing in Sag, Capricorn. So again, we got Pluto over there too. So one thing to keep in mind too, the full moon is actually going to be right there on that cusp where conjunct Pluto. So think about it like that, satisfied with your transformation. So whatever it is that you're going through and you might be kind of back and forth on, keep fighting to actually make that change. Because you know, that's the thing. When the full moon hits, it's going to be conjunct that Pluto. So it's like a powerful full moon that's going to kind of look and see whether or not you positioned yourself to take power and control over these different things. And if you are unsatisfied in this area, it's almost going to be like you're at the mercy of the things you wasn't able to take power and control over. And the thing is, it's not really about the habit. It's about the choice that the habit, that you know, by choosing the habit, you sacrifice another choice in a direction that might have been something that set you up better. So it's like, you know, it goes further than habits really, but it seems to be one of the most common ways it's playing out. It's either through habit or through it could be mentality, it could be really anything that is overpowering you and causing you as a spirit to make decisions that's not actually true to you, something that's kind of altering your also productivity in some kind of way. You know, something that you do that is causing you to spend resources on it, something that you're somewhat, again, either reliant on or it has become somewhat of a crutch for you. So right now, the adjustments we making to take power and control over that, again, when the full moon rolls around, it's going to determine whether or not you really satisfied with the progress you made in that. And the, you know, again, what you sacrifice from that could be the difference of you actually making progress in that area, or you just kind of drifting off and you kind of just continue to perpetuate a cycle that is going against you. um so like, keep in mind, that's where the full moon is heading towards. So right now we in the moon in Leo. So we started with the flood to clear everything out, develop this whole new way of feeling. Now we're expressing this new way, but we have to kind of deal with who we are. So we expressing who we are and how we feel now. That's going to turn into Virgo, which is where we clean it up and we make it make sense. We, again, add a little bit of what we might need in order to adjust and fix, take away a little bit about what we don't need in order to adjust and fix, right? Then it's going to turn into Libra. That's going to be us communicating, creating balance with it. That's a square with Cancer, but also Cancer's moving itself into Leo. But we're going to have to communicate and relate what we feel after we've adjusted it and fixed certain things. Then it's going to turn into the moon in after Libra is going to be Scorpio. So it's going to be the depth behind what we feel and the truth of it. And again, we're going to start to be in the Leo energies. No, are we? No, not yet. Yeah, we 17 degrees. Yeah, then not yet. We're still going to be Cancer energy. So it's going to be a trine with that, which is going to look like again, us resonating with that deep feeling. So kind of the behind the scenes work that goes with that deep feeling to make it transformative. And then that deep feeling is going to turn into Sagittarius. You're going to start to see the optimism or the meaning and reasoning behind why, you know, this new feeling that we've been developing, and then what we want to express as well. You know what I'm saying? And then when it goes in, and then that's by that time, that's where we're going to start to hit that full moon energy. So the wisdom and the freedom that it allows you. You're either going to be free at that time, or you're going to feel caged in because you didn't transform, because you didn't change, because you didn't, you know, again, take care of those things in your life that you know needed to be taken care of, whether that's removing certain things, sacrificing other things, getting you to a more comfortable space with newness. You know what I'm saying? Going through the actual healing process versus escaping and avoiding it. You're either going to be expansive in that area or you're going to be caged in. And then that full moon, again, is going to look at you and say, are you satisfied with the transformations you made? And if you're not, then again, you're going to be at the mercy of those bad habits, at the mercy of what it is that you couldn't let go of. And that's what's going to bring you into Leo season. You know what I'm saying? Because now it's going to be, we in Leo season and you're going through a full moon cycle. So what is now on center stage is the result of your inconsistency. What's now on center stage is the result of your inability to take power and control of your own life and do things more correlated to your truth. What's going to be on center stage is everything you chose to escape with. So you tried to escape to avoid the work to do. Now that's what's going to be on center stage. All the ways that you escaped, or all the things you picked up on that escape. And 9 times out of 10, that's gonna look like you coming back to the thing, to the stage unprepared. You didn't recite your lines. You didn't prepare your outfit. You didn't do your makeup and your hair. So you on that stage looking crazy. You on that stage showing your ass. And you're gonna be forced to kind of deal with that for 2 weeks until we get to the next new moon in Leo. And that's gonna be you being able to maybe redeem yourself. But again, if you playing the good seeds, this gonna be like a this is gonna be like an encore. This gonna be like you getting your they say we only get 15 seconds of fame. This gonna be you being able to materialize or capitalize off of that first 15 minutes or the first 15 seconds, now you got a whole nother block of time that you can impress people with. Everything on that stage look beautiful. Everything in that stage keep people engaged. Now they throwing you tips, you know what I'm saying? They throwing you flowers on the stage and shit like that. You're actually being seen for your truth because you was able to shed away all the things that wasn't really you. You was able to actually take power and control over these things that was keeping you away from your greatness, you keeping you away from your truth, you know what I'm saying, keeping you away from being in that position. So that's kind of like the pattern that we're heading into, and kind of how this moon cycle is playing out. um yeah. So other than that, yeah, this Saturday is going down, July 13th, 717 conference. Slide through. Tickets are still available. We're probably gonna have them available up until the date. And even if you pull up on us, you know what I'm saying, you can still purchase a ticket too. But make sure you get them ASAP, as soon as possible, so we know, you know what I'm saying, the seating arrangements and, just everything, little details that are nice to know before the event starts. I'm gonna be sending out an email today for everybody who did purchase a ticket, and yeah, just get a little update email in, so be on the lookout for that. If you did already purchase tickets and you chose to be a volunteer as well, yeah, any questions, hit me up on 717conference.info@gmail.com. Also, if you're looking to get a reading, I do a bunch of different types of readings, but let me know what you're looking for, and then we can kind of come up with something that's custom made for you. um Other than that, yep, website still working on that, getting that up. um and Equinox tape, still keep running that shit, put that in rotation. um Other than that, yeah, much love, and I'll catch you on the next one. You know what I'm saying? Just keep that in mind today, though. This last couple hours of Leo, use it to get those things expressed. You know what I'm saying? Say what you got to say, and reflect with yourself, so that you can carry into you can go into that Virgo energy very aware and clear on what we want to fix and what we want to adjust in our life to get better with this new feeling that we're trying to work with, because it takes a lot to work with a new feeling. It takes a lot to even be in your feelings. So be patient with yourself. Treat yourself with respect, give yourself a little grace, but stay focused. You know what I'm saying? We all got to go through this change, and we getting it. You know what I'm saying? We on our way. Much love. Catch you on the next one.